Episode number 12 of Making the Case. Modern women have created their own suffering and dysfunction as it relates to dating. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the channel, man. Making the Case, man. Hey, glad that you can make it back, man. Your boy feeling good. I just worked out, you know what I mean? Got on the treadmill a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, why not take advantage of this opportunity while I'm feeling good, you know what I mean? Feeling good, looking good. All right, let me stop. Hey, for those of you that's new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Jacob Isom, author, educator, speaker, entrepreneur. Making the cases where we take topics, we research them, and I make a case on why it's either is a certain way or isn't a certain way. All right. So that's what making the case is about. Of course, to those of you that's been keeping up with the videos, I appreciate your support. Please, please, please be sure that you comment, like, subscribe, go get the merch on the books. All right. Of course, the links will be in the description. You already know. All right. But before we move forward, we got two channel norms. One, we attack points, not people. Two, we don't do all the cussing, defamatory remarks. We keep it professional as always. Okay. All right. So let's get into our topic, shall we? Modern women create their own suffering and dysfunction as it relates to dating. Okay. Now, of course, this topic has been addressed and talked about probably every single day on YouTube. Imagine they lead headlines when it comes to newspaper articles, online, just everywhere, right? So, what we're talking about is nothing new, right? We know there's nothing new under the sun, but I will pull up some things and have a different perspective, maybe from what you're used to seeing, right? So, let's get into my opening statement. So, why do I say modern women create their own suffering and their own dysfunction? I can even say their own misery, right? Because it amazes me how many women I hear say that, well, I'll be comfortable with just dying alone, just staying single. Because in their mind, they don't want to settle. Now, I don't even know if we really broke down what that really means. Like, they don't want to settle. They know their worth. I think we're going to have to do a separate video on that. Hopefully, I can remember. All right. Because I think only women know or understand, and maybe a lot of them probably don't, what that means that when they say they don't want to settle and they know their worth, right? So, in my opinion, you can't settle for someone when something is at your level. All right. Because women are hypergamous, right? They believe they deserve somebody that is above their level. All right. Now, we know biologically, naturally, that's what they do, right? Nobody is faulting women for that. But what I will say is, though, there's still some dysfunction, there's still some delusion as it relates to the type of men that women really can attract. And it's not really about attracting, it's about the type of men that women can keep, because all I hear is I'm looking for my person. Have you heard that before? I'm looking for my soulmate. I'm looking for a long-term situation. Yeah, you may be looking for that. You may want that, but have you done the work on yourself to get that? And the type of men that you are after, are they the same type of men that you attract? There is a difference. Okay. So a lot of time the mentality of women nowadays is keeping them single. It keeping them miserable. It's keeping them unhappy, even though they say they're happy, right? They get into the bag. All right. But we know money don't make you happy. People make you happy. That's why you see a lot of women, they like to keep their kids and hang around their kids a lot of time. But as their kids grow up, they kind of separate themselves. Once the kids become grown and move out the house, then a lot of women try to throw themselves back in the dating market. But the mentality is still not there because they're rusty, right? They haven't really dated seriously. So what you'll see a lot of time is women get themselves into situationships. They get themselves into what a lot of women will call the hookup culture because they got needs too, right? So in this episode, I'm gonna bring to you 3 pieces of evidence. None of the evidence I believe is gonna shock you, right? So let's get into our first piece of evidence, shall we?
Standards to what?
All right. I think you get the gist, right? So my piece of evidence number 1 is unrealistic dating expectation. Excuse me, dating expectation of why modern women are suffering and have dysfunction when it comes to the dating market, right? Because men, like, we're very simple when it comes to dating. Okay, we understand that we're going to take you out, see where things go. We understand that we have to be the aggressor. More than likely, we're going to be paying for most dates. I mean, that's been the case for a very long time. Like, so our dating expectation or what is expected from us as a man really has not changed. It's only been more heaped on, right? Whereas women, they just get to look pretty and show up, right? So now women are saying, I want a man to be 6 feet. I want a man to have 6 figures. I want him to have a 6 pack, 6 this, 6 that, right? Which I thought 666 wasn't a good thing. Anyway, we can actually get into why 666 is not a good thing. Maybe another video, or is a good thing, I should say. But like these unrealistic dating expectations that women have. So going back to that whole ideology or idea about like women knowing their worth or women talking about they don't want to settle, like they're not thinking that it from their standpoint is because a lot of women will say, take me as I am, right? When let's just be real, a lot of women are overweight. A lot of women struggle with their weight. They struggle with a diet. They're not as consistent with working out like men are because men understand in order to get the certain type of woman he has to be fit. He has to be in shape. He has to have his money up. He has to be charismatic. He has to be confident. He has to be a leader. See, these are all the things that men understand going into the dating market. And for the men that don't have these qualities, right? They understand they don't get that Instagram woman. They understand this. All right. So the whole idea of women just saying, I come as I am, it's hurting themselves, really, because they think that a man just supposed to put up with them and take them as they is. But we know as men, if we say that, we get laughed at, right? So hypergamy is biological, right? It's natural for women. But in the same token, it's kind of had reached this boiling point to where a lot of women are now saying that, you know what, if I don't get this certain type of man, then I'm just gonna be single and I'm gonna die alone. I'm gonna get this dog and this cat and I'm gonna be good. I got my kids, they gonna come visit me. But why do you think so many women, so many mothers take pride in being single mothers? Because they understand, particularly if they got a boy, that's the male attention. That's all the male attention they get. So they don't want to level themselves up. They want a man to level themselves up in order to be with them, but they don't want to level up, right? Because the whole idea of going 50-50, women scoff at. And I'm just gonna have to be real. It's black women. Accountability. That's what you're gonna get over here. All right. Hey, let's get into our second piece of evidence. All right, for my second piece of evidence of why modern women suffer and have dysfunction when it comes to the dating scene is what I like to call I don't need a man syndrome. All right. It's crazy to me how many women I've heard say they don't need a man, they just want a man. And I'll tell you the real reason why it's crazy to me. Because it like my last video talked about cognitive dissonance, right? Because the very men that they say they don't need is the ones responsible for creating this light, this desk, this chair that I'm in, this technology that I'm using. Yeah. The very men they say they don't need, right? This townhouse that I live in, those street lights, all that stuff. Yeah, men created and built that. Okay. And I can pull up a list of the top 20 most dangerous jobs, and they dominated by men in the 90%, right? I can do that for you if you like me to. All right. So we're gonna have to get real with ourselves and appreciate men instead of dogging them out and saying how much you don't need them. You can only say that you don't need men in a first world country. Why do you think that we don't, or women across the globe don't suffer with modernism and feminism like the women in the West? The only reason why women can say they don't need a man is because they've been afforded all these luxury by men. So before I continue with my rant, let me go over my first article. It's by a platform called Evie. And the title of this is What Women Mean When They Say, I Don't Need a Man. And then the subtitle says, I don't need a man. I also don't need to eat bacon or drink red wine or wear mascara, but I enjoy them and they make my life better. Amen. Right? So let's get into this, man. It's really silly, but hey, here we go. Let's start from the top. Historically, women needed men a whole lot more. In the tribal days, women needed their men folk to hunt food and protect them from predators, both the four-legged and the two-legged kind. Up through the 1800s in Western civilization, the great majority of women in gentlemanly class and higher were economically pressured to marry to provide a roof over their head and to put food on their table. Unless you had an independent fortune, yes, we all know you're handsome, clever, and rich, Emmett Woodhouse, and were educated enough to work as a governess. Marriage was your only option. And if you wanted to have a baby, you definitely needed a man, of course, right? Even though, of course, we get all this insemination. Anyway, historically, women needed men to provide for them and to protect them. But nowadays, women can get PhDs and full-time, well-paying jobs. We can buy our own food and pay our own rent. We're not usually being hunted by wild animals that weighs more than we do. We can travel the world on our own. If we want to have children, we don't have to have a relationship with a man. We can just get a sperm donor or have a one-night hookup or adopt a baby. So yes, I don't need a man seems like a completely true statement, but it's not, right? Because where do you think that sperm comes from? A man. Like, so it's still so illogical, right? But it's so egotistical. And it's a defense mechanism. It's a coping mechanism for women to say that they don't need a man because they don't want to cooperate with one. That's really what it's about. But I don't need a man has been overexpanded and take on more and different meaning. It's become a mantra of mainstream feminist ideology. For other women, it's a coping mechanism or a superficial slogan that doesn't really mean what it says. Third wave, radical feminists really believe they don't need a man. You probably heard the popular feminist mantra, woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. This concept is pervasive in our society, even if it's unlabeled. In Disney, Frozen, Anna saves herself by doing an act of true love rather than receiving one through true love's kiss with a man. Now, I'm not against Anna sacrificing herself to save her sister. It's great because it really was an act of true love. But it also indicates that Disney princesses aren't impervious to feminist ideology. There was no man save a damsel in distress to resolve the story's conflict. It feeds into the cultural message that a strong, independent, successful modern woman doesn't and shouldn't need a man to solve her problem or feel happy. Now, we've addressed this in a couple of videos in the past, right? The feminist movement, the whole modern push for independence, for women to get educated, et cetera, right? So we're seeing this in Disney movies. And that's the crazy part. We're also seeing like homosexual images in cartoons, right? Which is crazy to me, but I digress. In fact, one feminist writer criticized rom-com for teaching women that there'll never be a real whole person without getting endorsed by a husband. She goes further to say that the marriage state itself is bad for women, citing that evidence that the fact that 2/3 of divorces are initiated by women. Now, we know that stat. We're going to keep going. Mainstream feminism have pathologized the basic human need for love, intimacy, and connection. Schaefer described the kind of shame that young women expresses to her in her practice. These women say, I know I should be happy alone, but I'm just not. I think about getting married and starting a family a lot all the time, actually. No, I know it's psycho. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's nothing wrong with you. That's your natural instinct is to have a baby, is to start a family. That is natural, right? But we've pushed this notion that women should get out there and work hard and compete with men. It's crazy. When I don't need a man really means something else. This is what it really means, right? They go into it. I'm tired of getting hurt in my relationships. Even successful, healthy relationships are messy and feelings get hurt. And unhealthiness and breakups to the mix, and the pain is bad. Some women use the "stay, I don't need a man" as a coping mechanism. It's like when you didn't get the role in high school play you auditioned for, you tell yourself, well, I didn't really want it anyway. Exactly. So it's really because you've been hurt in the past and now you're trying to protect yourself. I'm focused on self improvement right now. Some women say they don't need a man to stop dating, but only temporarily. They want to take a break from dating to make time and space for self reflection and growth. So now a lot of women will say they need time to heal or time to grow, but a lot of women won't do the work though. They won't do the interior work and they definitely not doing the exterior work. And then when they go back into the dating, a lot of time they overweight because they've been on the couch eating because ain't nobody there to hold them accountable. I value my freedom more. Yes, this is a huge one. Some women value their freedom and autonomy more than being in a relationship. And I'm just going to stop right there. Absolutely. Right. Because women think submitting to a man is just evil. Right. They think that, you know what? I don't want this man telling me what to do, telling me how I can dress. So I'd rather be single and do what I want to, dress how I want to dress. While at the same time, complaining about them not having a man. Well, at the same time, getting accompanied by an animal. I want to focus on other goals and priorities right now. Other women want a relationship at some point in the future. They aren't ready to settle down yet. Their years of freedom and independence are a temporary fade that's part of the plan. Absolutely. They're happy with their singlehood at present because they want to focus on their career or spend money on travel and hanging out with friends. A man, marriage, and baby will come. They just on the 5 to 10 year plan, not this year plan, which is actually a mistake that a lot of women make. You get into your 30s and 40s, your eggs and dried up. I'm just sorry, gotta be real, right? And men typically are attracted to younger women. So women have to stop doing that. They got to stop putting career and friends and making money first. And then older women wonder why they having a hard time in the dating right now. And will blame me and talking about they ain't no good. They don't want to settle down. No, they just don't want to settle down with an older version of you. They would have rather had the younger version. Sorry. I don't need a man, but I want a man. Boy, what did I just say? What did I just say? I enjoy being married because I get to go through the ups and downs of life with my best friend. My husband isn't a fair weather friend. He's my partner in an intimate, committed relationship. He's my life companion. I appreciate my husband for the small things like killing the bugs that get in the house and the big things like taking care of me after surgery and always encouraging me to be the best self. Could I do those things on my own? Yes. I could grit my teeth and will myself to do it, but life is better and less scary with a good man by your side who helps you and protects you. And remember where the car is parked in the parking lot because he loves you. Those actions are not simple actions anymore, meaning proof of love. Absolutely. And we're just going to stop right there. I thought this was a great article, right? Because the whole notion, the idea of you not meeting a man is saying that you don't need a person in your life to share life with, particularly as you start to age. When you start to age, things don't work the same like they do no more. Once you retire, the money don't come in like it used to anymore. And most people, men and women, are not making the type of money where they can really retire comfortably. So it's a necessity for us to pair, bond, and mate, combine income, to get a companion for love, to make us more healthy, to laugh and joke with, which makes you more healthy. All right. So the whole notion that you don't need a man is keeping you miserable and single for what reason? Because your ego, because you don't want to admit that you got to do the work, that you got to work for that man that you really want, and that you need a man. You don't want to admit that to yourself, but it's time that you do. Let's get into our last and final piece of evidence. All right, for my last and final piece of evidence of making my case or why I believe modern women create their own suffering and dysfunction as it comes to the dating scene is your past haunts you, right? Now, everybody deals with trauma from their past, whether that's childhood, teenage years, past relationships, right? So we all understand that. But what it appears that a lot of women do is that those previous relationship, those previous experience that they had with men, they let it haunt them like ghosts, right? They just can't seem to let it go. So when a situation come up with a new man, that it triggers them, like it take them back to that moment, and now all of a sudden walls start to go up, just start popping up, right? It's hard to let somebody in and to be vulnerable with somebody when you get all these walls up. Therapy is needed, people. Now, I will say that, right? I know some men are against therapy, but therapy is needed, absolutely. But you need to go to a therapist that's gonna keep it 1,000 with you. Shout out to Chicago Rilla. All right. So, I mean, you have to understand that you have to do the work in order to get back on the scene to appreciate being with a man and understanding why a man is valuable, not just providing for you financially, but being your leader, right? Being a person that you can get great advice from. So a lot of times women experience that their past trauma and they hurt hinders them from moving forward with great men. Women meet great men all the time. If they don't meet them, they pass them up all the time. And then will yell out, there ain't no great men out here. No, you're just not looking at them. They're not tall enough. They're not attractive enough. They don't make enough money. So you got all these disqualifiers, which by the way is also keeping you single and suffering and miserable when it comes to the dating scene. So a lot of these things can be improved upon if you change your mentality. All right. So let's get into this next article that I have for you. That's from a platform called Talkspace. All right. Title of this article is How Your Partner's Past Might Impact Your Future. Absolutely. Let's get into it. For better or for worse, everyone's got a past, and let's be real. Not everyone passes rainbows and butterflies. I don't think anybody past is. Our past make us who we are and shape our lives, and when we're in a relationship, we take on our partner's baggage and interpret it in our own way. That's absolutely true. Unless you're the very first person someone's dated, you're going to have to also deal with their past relationship too. The good, the bad, and the ugly ones. What your partner has dealt with in their life has shaped who they are now. And it's certainly possible that your partner's past could impact your future together. Ways your partner's past can impact your relationship. To build a healthy future with your partner, you have to move past the past and learn to accept those not so great things, or at least work towards acceptance and understanding. Here are a few possible aspects of your partner's past that might impact your future with them and how to handle those situations. If they cheated on another partner, if they cheated on a past partner, it's only natural for you to wonder if they'll do the same thing to you. Ultimately, this comes down to you trust you build over time. Living in fear of your partner cheating on you won't make a fun or healthy relationship. It'll lead to paranoia and arguments and stress and a whole bunch of other things. If you're going down the road of traditional monogamous relationship, you'll want to have a serious discussion about whether your partner is ready to commit to you. And only you. If they've cheated multiple times with multiple people, they'll more likely cheat again. If you're a paranoid person, they can be extremely difficult to cope with, as it is something that will likely bug you for the duration of the relationship. Because the thought of them cheating might always be in the back of your mind. You and your partner will have to work extra hard on building trust. Now, I will say this, right? My very first video on why monogamy is not natural. And to be honest with you, most people are going to have a tendency to want to step out of a monogamous relationship, meaning AKA cheating, right? So it happens in a lot of cases. So the idea that every relationship is just going to be monogamous and nobody going to cheat, the numbers and the scientific data doesn't say so, right? You just got to really hope that your person truly believes in monogamy and they're not lying to you, okay? Or they do a great job of hiding it from you. Because most people in a relationship, they will get cheated on. I'm sorry. I apologize. But it's just what the science say and the stats say. All right. Sorry to be. Let's continue. If you're going down the road with traditional monogamy, I already said that. What their sex life has been like. Talking about past sexual encounters with the partner can be awkward, to say the least. It can be nerve-wracking to disclose your number of past partners, and people often worry what their partner would think their number is too high, too low in comparison to their own. For example, if you find out your partner has a lot more sex or simply more adventurous sex, than you've had, it might leave you feeling inexperienced and compare yourself to those past partners. On the flip side, if you had a lot more previous partner than your current partner, your partner might feel inadequate and inexperienced and even threatening. And I'll stop right here. I'll tell you this: men and women are different when it comes to this. Typically, if a man have a high body count, then most women don't mind that, right? Because it's kind of expected, right? Men, particularly attractive men, right? Particularly men with a lot of money, right? They're expected to have a high body count. Where if a woman has a high body count, you know what we call her, right? You know what we consider her. Her reputation is damaged, right? That's biological, right? Because we want to be able to tell who is the baby daddy. Okay. So the whole idea of men and women having high body counts is totally different. Okay. And I think we understand why. Let's keep reading on. Who they've dated before. It's normal to compare yourself to others. It's in our nature. When it comes to comparing ourselves to our partner exes, things can get messy. You might become obsessed with checking out their ex's social media, sizing them up, wondering who's better looking, more successful, you name it. Now, it said this phenomenon is called retroactive jealousy. Now, I think this is more for weaker minded men and women, right? Because to be honest with you, I don't compare myself to other men, right? Now, I might see them driving a certain car, or wearing jewelry and stuff like that. Good for them, right? But I focus as a confident man, I focus on myself and building myself up. So I don't worry about that. Now, so for an insecure person, maybe this actually fits the most, but you do care because it does give you a little bit of insight into who they are, the type of people they dated. So you care when it comes to that. But as far as trying to compare yourself to somebody else, I don't think confident people do that, right? Oh, and then the next one says if they've been sexually assaulted. Now, I don't even have to read that to let you know that when it comes to SA, that it's a real serious thing with women, and you definitely got to be on the lookout for the. It's not that you can't have a healthy relationship with someone who has been SA, but I will say that it takes therapy, it takes time, it takes compassion, it takes understanding, it takes being emotionally intelligent. So you just really got to work through those things if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody who didn't experience that trauma. All right. And that's kind of all I wanted to read right there. So the whole notion, idea that those are just 5 or 6 things that can impact your future relationship with somebody. If that person has not done the work on themselves and have not reasoned through those type of things, your relationship probably won't survive, right? Because we've all deal with trauma, some more than the others, and that stuff got to be talked out in the beginning. Of course, it might not even be a bad idea to get couples counseling while you're in a relationship before you even get to a marriage stage, right? Because I think that's just a healthy way to approach it, because a lot of time people wait too late because they sexually attracted to someone. They like how somebody make them feel, laugh, and things like that, but they haven't really get down to, like, you've heard of the iceberg analogy, right? You can see the tip of it, but you can't see what's below underneath in the water, right? That's how a lot of people operate in relationships, right? We don't get below the surface a lot of times, and we'll get into a relationship or we'll marry these people. And then we'll wonder why in the future they don't work. All right. Hey, let's wrap things with my closing statement. So I think I brought out some very good points when it comes to unrealistic dating expectation, when it comes to a lot of time women letting their past trauma and past relationships kind to scare them away from getting with a good quality man, as well as really expecting a lot from men and having this mentality of I don't need a man, right? So all these combined, and these are just 3 aspects, right? I probably could have pulled in another 3 or 4 more pieces of evidence, but I definitely want to stay within a range when it comes to my videos, because I know your time is precious. Okay. But I can always do a follow-up if you like, and please comment into my comment section if you would like me to. But these are things that are definitely correctable, I would say. So I know a lot of times at the end of my videos, almost seem very doom and gloom, right? But this one is not, right? I think there's definitely hope, but that mentality has to change though. And unfortunately, feminism has done a number on women in our modern society that it does make it difficult. So to be honest with you, we got to save young girls. So we have to start early and letting them know that, hey, it's okay for you to want to be married. It's okay for you to find a man first, then get into a committed relationship, have kids, and then you could talk about starting a career or business and stuff like that. It's okay to put a man first and put having kids first. But we have told a lot of females that go get your bag, go start your career. And I don't think that's the best advice because now we waiting and women waiting to their 30s and 40s to want to have kids and want to find a man. It's impacting our society as at large. Right. So these things are correctable. But the real thing is we're gonna have women that's brave enough to hold women accountable to speak up. It's you know what? The way we've been approaching dating is totally off. We need to change things because currently at the moment, that is not what we see women doing in mass, right? You got your pockets, but you have platforms like myself, you have mediocre tutorial reviews, right? Poor Man Podcast, and you have others. You have Lapeef, Let's Talk. Shout out to all these brothers, right? And you have some other women podcasters and YouTubers who are out there that are doing the work that's trying to bring attention to the issue. So, like, there are people out there that are advocating for a change in dating strategy when it comes to women. And I'm not putting all the blame on women. Men have to change things too. But I do believe if women change this mentality that they have, because you can't go in the dating market talking about you don't need a man, you want a man, and expect a man to take you seriously. It doesn't make sense. You can't come in the dating market with all these past issues and all these walls up and expect a man to take you seriously. It doesn't make sense. And you definitely can't come in the dating market telling a man these are your standards and this is what you expect from him. There's no reason why there's such thing as a pass bro movement. These things exist for a reason. So I would say that I'm waiting for the real women to stand up and hold other women accountable. That's our video for today. Episode 12 is in the books. Okay. Speaking of books, we got them right here for you. You know, link gonna be in the description. You know, I got them shirts for you. I'm sorry, they not folding now. I put them up so much. All right. Hey, as always, I'm you, you are me. Love always, love eternal. Worst thing you could do is lie to yourself. So don't do it. All right. Hey, and I think this case has been closed. Deuces.